In today's video, we are going to learn about the stunning, shocking, surprising history of Louis Vuitton's Damier Ebene canvas. I thought I knew a thing or two about it, and I guess I did, but in my research for this video, I learned quite a bit. So I wanted to share that information with you guys, and hopefully you will learn a few things too. Hi YouTube, Autumn Beckman here. Welcome to my channel, or welcome back to my channel. My channel is all about luxury living on a budget, from high-end luxury handbags and small leather goods to the everyday luxuries of life. If that sounds interesting to you, please make sure you subscribe, click the bell notification icon to be notified when I post new videos, and be sure to like the videos that you enjoy. And one of the perks of subscribing to my channel is that on your YouTube homepage you get to see my community posts, and that's where I post discount codes and sales and deals on some of the things that we love. So like I said, today we'll be talking about the surprising history of Louis Vuitton Damier Ebene canvas. And I have my notes over here on my computer because I have a timeline for you. I also have photographs to illustrate the things that I'm talking about, and I will scoot over to make room for those photographs right here. And I have some of the items listed below, so you can check those out if you see something you're interested in. All right, here we go. So the main thing that surprises most people about Damier Ebene is that it actually was released before the monogram print. Most people think the iconic Louis Vuitton monogram print was the first print, but in fact it was not. It was Damier Ebene. So let's go through a quick timeline here of that. In 1858, Louis Vuitton created his first trunk and established the Louis Vuitton company. What was special about his trunks is that they had flat tops and bottoms, whereas trunks previous to that had curved tops. And the reason for that, which I didn't know and learned in my research, was that water would run off of them. But the advantage to the flat tops is that you could stack them. So Louis Vuitton's trunks were wildly popular and successful, and between the year they were established in 1858 and 1876, the trunks were gray. They were called Trianon, a gray canvas. Now because his trunks were so popular already, even back then, they were getting counterfeited. So that led Louis Vuitton in 1872 through 1888 to create a striped version of the canvas that was a little harder to counterfeit. The sound effects you're hearing in the background are courtesy of my African gray bird, Vincent. She's way across the apartment, but she can hear me talking, so she is joining into the conversation. She's very sociable. The striped canvas was the French word for stripes, which is ray or rayure. I'm not sure exactly, but these, from what I've read, are called Ray, R-A-Y-E, and I may not be pronouncing that correctly. 1888 is the magic date here. That is when Louis Vuitton came up with the Damier Ebene print. And at that time it actually came in two different colorways. We know the two browns, like you see behind me, but there was also one that had red and white checkerboard. And it was at this point, because of counterfeiting, that in some of those squares he also printed Marqué El Vuitton Déposé, which translates to El Vuitton Registered Trademark. And there's still a version of that in today's canvas, which I will show you later. So that was 1888. Remember that, because that's important. We're going to come back to that date. In 1892, so just 4 years later, Louis Vuitton dies. The company then goes to his son, Georges, or Georgia. I looked it up on YouTube how to pronounce that, something like that. I'll just call him George. So George takes over the company, and in 1896, so 4 years into his reign of the company, he comes up with the monogram print. So this is something that a lot of people don't know either. It wasn't even Louis Vuitton who came up with the monogram print. It was his son, Georges. Good old Georgie. And in that same year, 1896, also an important date, that the monogram print was released, the Damier Ebene print ended production. From what my research tells me, between 1896 and 1996, there was no Damier print from Louis Vuitton. And by the way, Damier means checkerboard. Ebene is brown. So there was no checkerboard print for 100 years. But it was revived in 1996. But it was still not the Damier Ebene that we know today. It was part of the Centenaire collection. It was the 100th anniversary of So, okay, this is where things get a little mushy in the research. When people are writing about the Centenaire collection, most of them say it's the 100th anniversary of Damier Ebene being invented, but everything I was reading about the invention of Damier Ebene said 1888, not 96, that it went out of production in 96. So it was 100 years since it went out of production that the Centenaire line was released. The difference between the Centenaire line and the Ebene that we know today is that the Centenaire line, the trim was raw vachetta leather. And I have a couple examples I can show you. Here's the West End. This is a luggage piece. And the Soho Backpack, the Chelsea handbag. Now all three of those pieces, it's fairly easy to still find them on the market today. There aren't that many that come up, and because it's vachetta, often many of them are stained with watermarks or other, damage, and it can rub raw on the corners. You could always have that repaired. The only thing about having the vachetta replaced on those pieces is that some of them are stamped on the vachetta with this special Centenaire stamp, which says, I'm looking at it on my computer here, 1896 through 1898. So that stamp on the bags really clarifies those dates for me that were kind of mushy in the research. All these pieces should have a stamp on them, but they're not always on the vachetta. Sometimes they're on the canvas like this one. Now, like I said, those three bags, the West End, the Boho Backpack, and the Chelsea, they're fairly easy to find. But another bag that I found from this collection, not so easy to find because I think it'd be a more popular bag, is the Noé in Damier Ebene with the vachetta trim. Beautiful bag. I love the Noé. I would love to have this in my collection. That's a very special piece. Now, the year after the Centenaire collection came out, and pardon me for looking down at my notes here, Marc Jacobs was hired as the first creative director of Louis Vuitton. That was in 1997. And in 1998, following the success of the Centenaire collection, Marc Jacobs, our Louis Vuitton hero for many of us, is the person who permanently revived the Damier Ebene collection and created what we know today, the Damier Ebene canvas with the dark coated leather trim, the weatherproof one, or the one that's, I won't call it weatherproof, the one that is weather resistant. That's the terminology people use, yes. And he released these in 1998. Personal story here, that was the year that I graduated high school and moved to New York to go to college. And it must have been in 1999 that I walked into a Louis Vuitton store for the first time. It was the Fifth Avenue store. I'd seen Vuitton bags on the street everywhere in New York City, and though I felt completely out of place and totally intimidated to walk into that store, I did it because I was curious. I really liked the brand back then and still do, obviously. And when I walked into the store, I saw the Ebene for the first time ever. I mean, in my life, first time I'd ever seen it, and I fell in love immediately. I thought it was gorgeous. I liked it more than the monogram print, and I still do. Now, I remember it being part of the men's line. I feel like I saw a messenger bag, but there were pieces that were for women also. In general, however, and we'll talk about this in just a minute, the Damier collections, not just the Damier Ebene, but there are other collections, they do tend to be part of the men's line and not the women's line so much. Some of the bags that were released in 1998 as part of that original collection were this, the Brera. I would guess the Speedy was too, but I didn't find for sure information on that, but I would say pretty sure it was. But another bag that was released was the Soho Backpack, and you remember that that was also part of the Centenaire collection. It was a popular piece, so it was released again in the new Damier Ebene print. And here they are side by side. And I want to show you a close-up of the Damier Ebene print, the current one, the one Marc Jacobs developed. Because a lot of people either haven't seen it up close or just haven't bothered to look that closely at their bags. And it's different from what I thought it was when I first looked up close. I was surprised to see the detail in it. From a distance, it just looks like a dark brown square and a light brown square, right? Not at all. It's much more complicated than that. It's actually made up of a bunch of little lines. The lines are in the two shades of brown, the dark brown and the lighter brown. And then both of those are printed on a black canvas. Through the magic of art and the way your eyes work, it blends it together and makes it look like a checkerboard. And this is why when you're looking at pre-loved Damier Ebene bags, you may see corner wear sometimes, or other places where there's wear but corners, one of the most common places where you see the wear, and it'll just look black. It won't have the checkerboard print on it, and that's because the canvas is black. The printing, the little brown lines have faded off and you just see the canvas. Sometimes it's really worn and the canvas is worn away and you can see the inside to the interior color, which is something else I wanted to mention that I don't have in my notes. Interior colors of the Damier Ebene bags. Red is the one you'll see most often, but I know the Neverfull in Damier Ebene is also offered in a rose ballerine interior. You will see some other bags. I didn't do research on this, but it was just something I thought of while I was prepping to film it today. You will see other colored interiors on some bags, but generally it's going to be red or the rose ballerine and the Neverfull. I'm not sure what other bags might have other colors, but I know I've seen some other colors, like maybe a brown. The Centenaire collection has a brown that's more like the interior of a monogram bag. Of course, those also have different shades and different colored interiors as well. So, all right, since 1998, when Marc Jacobs permanently released the Damier Ebene that we know and love today, there have been several different iterations of the Damier print. In 98 through 2002, there was one I've never seen before, and it's called the Damier Vernee Cabaret Club, and Vernee is patent leather. This is the only bag that I found in that collection. Let me do a quick search here though. I just found another one. I'm going to put it up right here. And I found another one. And I found a close-up of the Cabaret Club line. Okay, it looks like it's just those three that I'm finding right away. So those are pretty interesting. They're similar to another one that I'll mention in a minute that is still being made. So that was 98 through 2002. In 2006, which was not all that long ago, that is when Louis Vuitton, Marc Jacobs, released Damier Azur. Azur is that new, and somehow it was celebrating the French Riviera, but I didn't see a lot more information on it than that. I'm not sure how. If anyone knows, leave that in the comment section so we can learn from you. Then in 2008, Damier Graphite was introduced. I know a lot of us would love to have that in the women's line as well. A Speedy and a Neverfull in Damier Graphite would sell out fast. Why haven't they done that? And Marc Jacobs developed that for the 120th anniversary of Damier Ebene, or Damier. In 2011, Damier Infini was released. This is very similar to that Cabaret Club collection in that it's the embossed, debossed print. Solid color. Also in 2011, Marc Jacobs released the Damier Aventure and Damier Challenge bags. These were more colorful prints, although they also have a gray and gray one, and they're in nylon. In 2014, Damier Cobalt and Cobalt Blue was released. In 2015, there was an artist collaboration with Damier Graphite and Christopher Nemeth. And in 2017, the ladies finally got some Damier in the Damier Tahitian line, which was wildly popular as well. I probably have missed some of these, but this is the information that I have. In 2020, Damier Graphite Giant was released. So it's the graphite print with giant blue checkerboards on top of it. And also in 2020, Virgil Abloh, and I would guess he did the Giant print as well, came out with Damier Distorted. I'm not sure I've ever seen this one. I think maybe I saw it first in my research. And this was currently, well, this and the Giant prints were currently on the Vuitton website. I'm not sure if they're available, but they are still on the website. So that is all the information that I learned today about the history of Damier Ebene, my personal favorite print. What is your favorite print, canvas print from Louis Vuitton, and why? For me, the why, I like the look of it better. It's more subtle, it's not so in your face as the LV monogram print, but also I love the history of it. I did know before doing this that it was released before the monogram print. I didn't realize that Louis Vuitton himself did not come up with the monogram print. So I like the idea that Louis Vuitton came up with my favorite print. And I think what Marc Jacobs did with the darker brown trim, it makes it more, a little dressier, whereas the monogram is more casual. I mean, I love both of them, don't get me wrong, but I have always been partial to Damier Ebene. Well, thank you so much for watching. I hope you learned something like I did. Hope to see you back here next time. Hope you and your loved ones are doing well, and I hope you have a fantastic day. Bye.